Good morning, good morning. It is morning here, and we're back here in the relationship arena. Welcome to our podcast. You know me, I'm Ali Moore. I'm a relationship therapist, and in this season in the relationship arena, I am getting nosy about lots of different types of relationships. We've spoken about relationships with self, we've spoken about relationships with other people, but relationships really come up across our world. They are everywhere that we look. And some of the relationships that have the biggest impact are when we have to create relationships with people that perhaps we didn't personally choose. So the concept I'm talking about here is when you become a step parent and you start to bring a blended family together. You choose somebody, you meet them, they have children, and you have to tackle that and look at what that means for you in your relationship. So I am delighted today on this episode to be joined by the amazing Charlotte Walters. She's a lovely friend of mine. She is a fellow step parent, so she has been a step parent for a number of years. And she is going to be talking to us, or you are going to be talking to us, Charlotte, what it's like to be that step parent, to realize that you have to blend this family together, that the relationship that you've chosen comes with other people in mind, but also you took that role on at quite a young age yourself, and you had no children of your own at that stage, so some different dynamics going on there. So welcome to the show, Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So, yeah, obviously I was quite young. It's been a number of years now. And I would say the second thing to that is that the children are a little bit older because we have a little bit of an age gap. So there's two sort of things in there
Mm.
that sort of happened at the same time. We were trying to make sure that our relationship would work before I was introduced to the children. But then also, obviously, once you've decided that your age gap relationship is going to work, then you have to intertwine these two young children that I've never had before.
And I think that's really interesting because when I took on the role of step parenting, I had children of my own, and I kind of knew that the age I was, that potentially I was looking for somebody with children. And in fact, it kind of fitted because I had my children. I wanted someone who understood that. So it was a bit more in my sort of like, when you're thinking, what do I want? And you're putting your profile together. So I'm guessing for you, that wasn't quite the same. You were not actively looking in that way.
No, I always said before because I haven't personally wanted my own children ever.
Hmm.
So I had always said, oh, I'd never date anyone with kids. That was just something that I could never imagine doing. So yeah. And then when you meet your person, you don't really have a choice if they have children or don't have children. So it was sort of like I met um I met Carl first, and
Yeah.
then I don't know, we just get on like a house on fire. Then it's not somebody doesn't say, "Hi, I'm Carl and I've got two kids." Like that doesn't sort of
Mm.
happen. So you sort of get to know them a little bit first. And then yeah, so here we are.
So you met Carl, like you say, you got on really well. You didn't kind of do an interview, so you didn't, so what were your thoughts when you realized that this person, well, two things, because I'm nosy, come to mind. Firstly, you've mentioned that there is an age difference between you and Carl. And
Mm.
also then you find out that he's got children from a previous relationship. What were you
Yeah,
thinking?
so I met Carl. Well, I met Carl at their work Christmas drinks. We were invited from a work capacity.
Hmm.
And one of the girls from his office was like, "What about Carl?" And I was like, "Oh no, he's well old." Um, anyway, we got chatting. So a few hours later, I was still sat talking to him, like
Oh.
just yeah. And then I couldn't not talk to him. That was it. So obviously I quickly or soon knew that he had children, and we sort of like weren't a proper thing for maybe the first 12 months. And that was more because I'd not long come out of something. He was still going through his divorce and stuff like that when we'd met. So we sort of just dated a bit, talked about the kids. When the kids were around, they were still quite little. So we didn't actually speak that much on the phone in the daytimes when he was with the children. So it was like every other
Okay.
weekend. So
Yeah.
I sort of still had my own life,
Hmm.
until we decided to merge them. But yeah, I think I don't. I don't know if I remember thinking, oh, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if it was because of how our relationship was that I sort of thought, well, it's part of the package, isn't it? That's it. Just gonna have to suck it up.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a
'Cause
bit about you decided, okay, this is what it is. This is, you and Carl are getting on great. It's now time to bring things together. And I mean, well, my hubby and I look back quite fondly on those days when we were just dating, when none of the kids had met, when everything was
yeah,
still quite separate. And we're like, oh my God, why did we introduce everybody? Wasn't it good fun when we were just almost sneaking around,
yeah.
where nobody else was involved? But you have to kind of bring it
Reality has to hit.
together. So and that's quite hard, isn't it? Because the other thing I know for me as well is, my children had a schedule and his children had a schedule, and some schedules are more flexible than other schedules, due to past relations. Let's put it nicely that way. Do you know what I mean? So, um, but you are kind of then living on this schedule where the children are going to be there for certain times. And sometimes, again, you're just having to go with that. There's not a lot of negotiation, is there?
No, and I do remember like I think I've always not wanted my own children for a reason.
Mm,
Um, and I do remember a few times where I think I've been, well, it's not me in control of my own life, is it? It's you and her. Like you're the ones that make the rules and the times, and if something needs to change, it was
yeah,
always at the early days, it was them because you know they were the ones that were
yeah,
navigating this thing. It was new for them as well. Now I'm always like with Carl, this is us and our life. So, if a change needs to happen, I mean, the kids are 17 and nearly
yeah,
18 and nearly 16 now. It's a little
yeah.
bit different, but it's me that you talk to about that. Like, and that
Hmm.
took a little while for us to settle into that routine because they're not my children. They are his
Mm,
and her children. And so automatically the dynamic was, and I wasn't there I wasn't after they separated, I wasn't there for many years. So they'd
mm,
already had the way that they did it, and Carl never had anybody else. Um, so it was relearning how to actually, this is my house as well. So if you're going to make
yes.
changes on my time in my home, I'm not asking you to ask for you to have your children, but it might be nice if you say yes um, to having them an extra weekend. Could you just ring me and go, oh, by the way, she's asked if I can have them on that extra Saturday. Is that all right? I'm never going to say no, but it's when it's like, don't get asked, it happens, and then it
Mm.
just goes in the diary, kids overnight. I'm like, cool, thanks for asking. Didn't have any plans.
I think that's a really valid point because the dynamic changes. And like you say, it's not about you saying you can or you can't. It's about feeling as though you're part of those
Mm.
conversations and bringing you into this blend. It's a blended family, and blended is the key word, isn't it? So everybody is needing to be involved in a certain way. And yeah, you can sometimes feel like your life is all around other people's schedules. So
Mm.
you meet the children. What did you kind of, I'm always interested to see how people view their roles, in terms of what's my role now with these children? They're in my house. What am I responsible for? Where are the boundaries? It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, and because I was only around, I must have been about 28. Um, I never had kids of my own, so
Yeah.
I only know how I was parented. Whether that's another topic, whether that was, too much, not too. I feel like, in comparison to my childhood, a lot of my friends had similar childhoods to me. In comparison to that, these children are particularly mollycoddled, but that's not just Carl's children, that is all his friends' children. So I don't know whether it's
Hmm.
a generation thing or, I was having this conversation with my mum last night because my stepdaughter was getting the train to see her boyfriend, but she wasn't coming home until 8:30 in the evening. And it was really dark. She's a young girl. And I was really uncomfortable about that. But I did say to my mum, well, you'd have let me get the bus around Milton Keynes at 8, 9 o'clock at night, at probably 16 years old. So
Yeah.
actually, is it any different?
Hmm.
not really any different. So I think when I came into their lives when I was younger, I didn't know how to be except how my mum was to me,
Mm.
or how my friends' parents were to theirs. So it was really strange, I'm not gonna lie. And I was scared of them. So I I didn't want to make anyone cry or say anything that I shouldn't say. So I think for the first at least 18 months, I was just scared.
Oh, I think that's so honest of you to say that because, yeah, even as someone who was a mum and then taking on someone else's children, responsibility, it was hard. But for you, you kind of, how old were the children when you came into their lives?
Um, how old am I now? Must have been about 9, 10, 12, 10, 11, 9,
Right.
10, 11. So they were
Yeah.
still pretty young, and
Yeah.
they were quite still unsettled. But the separation
Mm.
was still sort of there.
Yes.
Um, they hadn't they were very routine children. So coming to dads from mums and then going back to mums from dads, the transition was always really hard. And it was still
Mm.
hard when I came into the picture. It was
Mm.
only probably another year or so later after we moved in, because I didn't fully full time live with Carl until actually we timed it just right, January 2020.
Oh, then you had no
Um,
choice.
Straight into lockdown in the March.
Hmm.
And we were probably having the kids 4 days a week.
Wow. Okay.
They weren't all overnights, but they were coming quite like, just to get them out of the house, they would come for dinner and
Yeah.
stuff. But that's another thing, learning what kids will and won't eat. And I'm used to just making dinner and putting it on the table and Carl will eat it. Whereas it's like one week they like it, the next week they don't like it. Well, nobody told me. Like, how am I supposed to know?
Because
So
because you haven't, had from tiny. These are things we learn as we go along, right? We don't know this stuff when we have our own kids, but you suddenly get to learn, what they will and won't do and what their phases are and how, and there's you, a young person in your own right, actually didn't want children of your own, and you've got these, coming into the teenage years, which are quite difficult because one, they've had this upheaval in their life that they're
yeah,
still adjusting to. Two, here's another person that they've got no choice to kind of forge a
yeah, they didn't
relationship
choose
with.
me either.
They didn't
Yeah.
choose you, you didn't choose them. And you're having to do like this parenting 101, like get to grips with it. What does this actually mean? How do I do this? This is a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. So then I was like, right, well, I'll just ask them every week what they want for dinner, like in advance. What do you want for dinner when you come on Friday, Saturday, whatever that looks like, and try and do it that way. Anyway, it's still a problem now, but obviously we have a much different relationship
Mm.
now. If one of the kids turns around and says, I don't eat spaghetti bolognese anymore, and I'm like, well, that's ridiculous because you had it last Monday. Yeah, but I'm like, you just don't fancy it. It's not that you don't eat it anymore, is it? Um, we can be a bit more honest and a bit more banterful, I suppose. Like we do get
Ah,
on really well now, but in those early years, yeah, I was honestly petrified just in case it made one of them. I remember one of them cried one day
uh-huh.
about what was for dinner. So Carl went to Tesco's to buy different dinner, and I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming because they'd eaten it before, and I was like, "Hang on a minute." I'm like, we just being manipulated here. Like, what? Didn't get it, but there we are. That's, these things happen, don't they?
So what do you see your role as? What is your relationship with these children, especially now they're older? What do you view your space in their life as?
I see myself as quite a good role model for them.
Hmm.
They're always quite interested in life, obviously my business. Um, Keen to learn from me, I suppose. I have
Hmm.
a different background to their mum and their dad. I'm just a different, and I am
Hmm.
quite young, so I'm still quite dynamic in that regard, to where they are in their life. We do joke about, dad being old all the time. Don't get me wrong, he's not that old, but it is just, yeah, we just, be a be a ear if they need me. I'll always support them in what they choose. I obviously have love and care for them. So yeah, it's just working together, isn't it now? It's sort of
Mm.
it just sort of settles into a bit of a pattern, I think.
Yeah. Can you kind of think of that time when you sort of realized that you'd found your feet a bit, or they'd found their feet? Or did you just realize one day, oh, I think we've got this now?
Yeah, I think it was gradually over time. It took a long
Mm.
time,
Mm.
and it took a long time to get the kids' trust, silly little things like I would never get kisses on text messages and things. And then now off one of them I get two, and off the other one I get one, but he doesn't do kisses to anyone.
Mm.
Um, so you kind of know like the little bits and pieces, and even Carl will say, "Oh, he's texted you," and I'm like, "Yep." So they will, we have our own communication now. We have our own direct conversations
Ah,
that don't have to be, in the group chat or with Carl, basically. So yeah, I think that's actually more so in the last probably 18 months actually,
yeah.
because they've just grown up. They've just grown up so much more. And
I
they're obviously
agree.
more
I
used
mean,
to
I've
me.
got, stepchildren similar ages, slightly older, but similar ages. And I have noticed the same, that we now have our own communication. We
Yeah.
have our own sort of keeping in touch. They will, sometimes I get a bit of a smug step parent, vibe when I think, oh, they've told me before they've told you. It's like I've made a breakthrough or something. Do you know what I mean? But those
Yeah.
little kind of almost wins, aren't they? Where you think, yeah, this relationship is doing okay, actually.
Yeah, and I think because it takes so long to get there, when you get there, you think,
Mm,
"Phew," but you don't know how it's going to be, do you? Some
no.
unfortunately, some families have a situation where they're never going to be, that's never
Mm,
going to be okay. And we got engaged uh almost 6 months ago,
mm,
and um this was another thing actually. So years ago, when we talked about getting married, Carl always said to me that he would want to, he said ask permission for the kids first to marry me.
right.
And I was like, no. I was like, I don't want somebody else knowing that I'm getting married before I know.
Oh.
But I was also like, well, what if they say no? And I don't think
Mm-hmm.
he meant it as if to say, I'm asking permission, Pete. I think it was more like, I'm going to let them know. And if they're not
Mm,
okay with it, they'll have to deal with it. And hopefully they will
mm.
be okay. Anyway, the night before he decided that he was going to do it, he spoke to both the kids. And Grace was like, oh my God, has she painted her nails? That's really important that she's painted her nails, which was cute. And Josh was on TikTok saying, Dad, look at all these ways that you could do it. Have you thought about this? Have you
Oh,
thought about that?
yeah.
And I thought that was really cute. And they both just said, can we be the first ones to know in the morning if you do it? Because he had said, I think I'm thinking of doing it, but
Hmm.
not, I might not do it. If I don't do it, then but they wanted to be the first people to know. So it was nice that they were excited, and that kind of as well cemented for me that actually they do accept me.
I think
I
that's
fully
so
expected
sweet. I
them to
didn't know
cry.
that story, and I think that's such a sweet story.
I
And
expected them to be upset because
oh,
they're quite sensitive, like most kids are. Um, I expected them to be upset about it, but they weren't. So I was
no,
very happy with that.
no. And I think that shows, kudos to everybody involved. Everyone's worked at this relationship and got you to that space.
I wonder how they felt about it at the start.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because we never know. I remember being very naive. My stepchildren were young, they were 3 and 5, and I had
Mm.
two teenage girls. And I thought, so naively, this is fine, they're so young, we're just going to have fun together and it's going to be great. And it was hard going to start with, and you're really kind of trying to find out where you fit in and what's okay and what's going on in their other world that you have no, I had no contact with that, no insight into what was going on there. Um, and yeah, I mean, I found it tough, and I think they found it tough as well. My naivety that these youngsters would be able to adapt was so out of whack, in terms of the reality. And it takes such a long time. And you're right, you do sometimes wonder, what they make of it all and what they made of it all. Very interesting.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, there's no, I don't think there's any point in talking about it now. As in, like, it might come out when they're adults, you never know. Might have had
Yes,
a few drinks and have a random conversation about it. And I'll be like,
yes.
remember that time that I was shit scared of you? Um, like, yeah, all those sorts of things. Like, I would say that to them now. If they asked me, I'd tell them now because I do have the relationship to be
Yes.
able to. But just imagine if we could have done that, at the time. I'm actually really scared too. Like
Oh, yeah.
that would have been just because they're obviously, but because they were young. It's obviously more daunting for them, and don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
actually, I always used to say to Carl, don't forget, you're three people in this house, and I'm one. I feel like I'm on my own, and you three have got each
Oh.
other. Like when it was tough, it'd be like, I'm the one that's actually here and lonely. You three are all right. Like, how
I
does
was
that
going to
work?
say, what kind of impact, how do you think this shaped your relationship with Carl? If you go back to when you first met him and you realize you want to be with him, and then suddenly you've got to change those dynamics. I'm trying to get my words out here, but what was the impact in terms of how you thought the relationship could have been to what you've actually got?
Well, before we introduced the children, we obviously had that initial 1 to 2 years where we were working out whether we were going to work. We were pretty
Mm,
much dating undercover, going out of
love that
area
dating
every
undercover. Yeah.
every other weekend was fun, different. Like it wasn't a real relationship, was it? Like
Mm,
it was real to the senses that we wanted to be together and we were dating, but actually real life, you cannot go away every other weekend for the rest of your life.
yes.
And so then you start settling into what a normal relationship is. And
Hmm.
so then you're trying to navigate that as well. And that's really difficult to change from that real fun, spontaneous, where are we going to go this weekend? What are we going to do? The focus is all shift, doesn't it? Because actually life becomes reality. And then
Yeah.
you're back in your boring, not going away every other weekend. Um, and then you have the other weekend, then you have these two humans that
Hmm.
just come into your life. So then it's like, oh, this is weird. This is different, isn't it? And then it's just a bit like everything, go through tough times.
Yeah.
Like, am I sure about this? Then
Hmm.
you come through it, and here we are. Like, that's just life now. We do still try and do the spontaneity stuff, and we do go away as much as we possibly can, but also, that's expensive these days. Um, and when the kids are here, to be honest with you now, I pretty much just do my own thing. When, Saturday mornings is football, takes up the whole morning. So I'll go to the gym, meet some friends for
I was
breakfast
going to
or
caveat
whatever,
that
go for a
Charlotte
nice
isn't doing
walk.
football on Saturday morning. Yeah, that made it sound like you were out there. And anyone who knows you'll be going, I don't think that's the case.
I mean, never say never.
No,
But yeah, obviously, so Josh is at football. So I'm a bit redundant. Sometimes Carl's like, "Do you want to come?" I'm like, "No, thanks.
no,
No, I'm good."
yeah.
No, I don't feel that that's going to benefit me standing outside in the rain. Grace is at school, not school. She doesn't go to school on the weekend. She's at work. She's
Yeah.
working now. So I'm a bit redundant. Whereas we used to do like all stuff together all weekend. And now we've transitioned into another phase where I'm a bit like, not needed. Great. I can go and sit in the spa for 3 hours.
But that's a similar transition to all parents whose children get to that age. It
Mm,
changes again. You suddenly find that, as you say, your life was all around these humans. And regardless of whether they were there with you full time or part time, they're now leading their own lives. So your role has changed again, and you're getting that time that we think, what do I do with myself now?
I mean, I quite like this phase
Mm-hmm.
because it's Friday night. We always have dinner together. We all sit at the table. That's like a rule that we have. And then Saturday we get up. I sort of do my own thing all day. Then we come back together in the evening. We all have dinner together again. Sundays, sometimes Grace is taking Sundays off at the moment. This weekend we did the Christmas tree all together, had Christmassy nibbles, which, was really nice. Watched a Christmas film and then they went home. Um, so yeah, it's all sort of, yeah, just a bit more fluid now, I'd say, because it's not because of their age, because they've got their own lives, because we've been
Yeah.
together so long now, it's more comfortable. It is just generally more easy.
Mm. Yeah. And I think, that I remember someone saying to me in the early days when I was really struggling at one point, give it time, when they're older, give it time. And sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees when you're in those tough times, but
True.
actually consistency, isn't it? You've just got to keep focused and keep understanding and keep working at it if you really want this to come out the other side.
Yeah, and I think you've just got to be true to yourself. You've got to, I've never really let my boundaries slip. So there
Yeah.
will be things that I will have said to the children that Carl would never have. Um, you know, a couple of jobs they have to do, put the plates in the dishwasher and open the curtains. It's not hard tasks.
How
Um,
awful for them.
I know, what a cow am I,
I know,
honestly.
exactly.
Like just, but mainly because when they go out into the real world, it's going to be really, really hard because I remember when Josh said, "Yeah, but when we come to your house, it's like going on holiday, isn't it?" I was like, "No, Josh, it's like coming to your other house."
Oh,
So he would get wait, and that's another thing for that they had to switch from. Carl used to wait on them absolutely hand and foot,
mm-hmm,
glass of
mm-hmm.
water, it would be there. And I'd say to him, "You're not, this is not a good thing to do because they're not going to realize actually life's hard." You know,
Mm,
if you want a
mm-hmm.
drink, get yourself a drink. You know where the cupboard is. And so there was a few years of me trying to encourage Carl to do a little bit less. He still does a lot, but he does a lot for me. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. It's his
that's the thing.
way.
So it's like
Yeah,
it's relearning, isn't it? Everybody's got
yes,
to relearn a bit, and I've got to be a bit more patient with the fact that he wants to do all those things for
yeah.
all these people. Um, and that I wouldn't because I'm clearly more selfish.
But I don't think it's harm. I think it's good that they see people as individual people, and they see that people have different boundaries, and that's
Yeah,
okay. That you can't. You're not even sort of people when they're parenting their own children together. When I see them in family sessions, they don't parent the same. They have different ways. They have conflict even over parenting, when they're living in the same house with their own children. So I think it's healthy that there are differences. So we're coming to the end of our time together, but I wonder if you had a couple of top tips for step parents, younger step parents. What do you think is something to really keep in mind as you go into this new relationship world?
I think especially being young, that it was really important that I did keep a close relationship with my friends and I had some out time as well. So my weekends at the start weren't 100% with them. And also
Yeah.
it was important for them to not have
Hmm.
me 100% at the time because I've just been dumped on them. So yeah, be patient,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you. Like, don't forget to do you because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to miss out and you might regret that. And don't be as scared as I was. I think if you just try and communicate as much as you possibly can.
Hmm.
Maybe we didn't do enough of that because I was too scared. Um, Intimidated, I suppose, is the right word.
Yeah. Right.
Um, yeah, but patience, unfortunately,
Patience. I
is the
agree. Patience is the
priority.
thing. And I think my final view is you've chosen somebody and, they have children and they come as a package, and
Yeah.
that's always my biggest thing. And you have to accept the package. You can help shape
100%.
it. You can be involved in what that looks like. But this is a whole thing. This is a blend. This is not separate entities. And when you're accepting of that, it makes things easier, to be in their world.
Yeah, and I think the key there is, the kids didn't choose this. So
Right.
they might be being little assholes one day, but it's not because of you or because they mean to or whatever. It's difficult for them as well. They just don't know how to
Yeah.
communicate that. And I think the older I've got, the more practice I've got at this.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
you realize that they're not just they're not kicking out or being a pain to be nasty. They're just navigating their own stuff.
Navigating their own stuff like we all do. So thank you so much, Charlotte, for being
Thank you.
here in the relationship arena. Thank you for your honesty in your experience of being in that young step parent role. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We've got lots more episodes, lots more guests coming up. If you have a topic on relationship that you would like us to chat about, we're happy to do so. So drop us a note. And if you have a story about relationship that you think would make a great story to share in the relationship arena, then do that as well. So take care, everyone. Thank you for listening, and I will see you again soon here in the relationship arena. Take care. Bye bye.